Hello, fourth graders. Today we're going to be working on lesson 1-7, which is U.S. Traditional Addition. And before we begin the lesson, I would like for you to solve the two problems that I have here on the screen. I would like for you to try to solve each of these problems using a different method. So for problem number 1, which I have marked here in pink, I would like for you to try to use one method. And then for problem number 2 right here in blue, I would like for you to try and use a different method. If you're not quite sure what I mean by that, or you cannot use two methods because you're just not sure how to use more than one method, then go ahead and do your best to solve the problem the best that you can and try to get the correct answer. And we're going to talk about how we solved those problems here in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to answer number 1 and number 2, so that the question in pink and the question in blue. And when you're done, go ahead and put your answers in so that you can continue on with the remainder of the lesson. Okay, so now that you have had a chance to try solving both of those problems on your own, I am going to review them with you, and we're going to use a couple of different methods to solve these problems. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use partial sums addition for this problem. And I'm going to just go ahead and write it over here for those of you that just need to see it. It's partial sums addition. Okay, and that's the first method that we are going to use. So the soccer team held a car wash over the weekend to raise money. Okay, that's good information, but not necessarily anything that I need to know in order to solve this problem. The team players washed 46 cars on Saturday and 27 cars on Sunday. I'm just going to go ahead and underline that. Okay, because I have a feeling that's going to be something I'm going to need to know. How many cars did the team wash in all? Okay, so what do I know from this problem? Well, I know that they washed 46 cars on Saturday. And I also know that they washed 27 cars on Sunday. Okay, so now what do I need to find out? Well, I need to know how many cars did the team wash in all. Okay, and what does that in all tell me that I'm going to have to do? If you said add, you are correct. That in all is kind of that key word for add. So before I solve the problem, I need to estimate. Okay, so I need to know how many cars the team washed in all. On Saturday, they washed about 50 cars, if I round up to the nearest 10. So 46 is how many they washed. So I'm going to say 50. That's pretty close to 46. And on Sunday, they washed 27 cars. That's close to 30 if I round to the nearest 10. Okay, so I have approximately 80 as my answer. I think that they washed about 80 cars. Now remember, that is my estimate, and I'm going to use that here in just a minute. So now it's time to solve the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. I know that I need to find out how many cars the team washed in all. So they washed, oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me go ahead and, there we go. Okay, they washed 46 cars on Saturday plus 27 cars on Sunday. So I need to know how many they washed in all. Using partial sums addition, I'm going to go ahead and solve that problem. So I know that 46 is the same as 40 tens plus 6 ones. okay? And 27 is the same as 20 tens plus 7 ones. Okay, all I have done is written each number in expanded form. 46 is 40 plus 6. 27 is 20 plus 7. So for partial sums addition, all you do is go back and you say, okay, I'm going to add the tens first. So 40 plus 20 equals, if you said 60, you're correct. I'm going to go ahead and add the ones because that's my next place value. And I have 6 plus 7 equals. And if you said 13, you are correct. And then after I've added my tens and my ones, I'm going to add my partial sums. So 0 plus 3 is 3, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So my answer is 73. So now I'm going to check that with my estimate. Is 73 pretty close to 80? Yeah, they're really close. So my answer makes sense. The team washed 73 cars in all. Okay, so now let's take a look at number 2. On number 2, we didn't have a word problem. We just had 236 plus 195 equals. And before I do anything, again, just like always, I am going to estimate. Okay, so I know that 236 is pretty close to 240. And it's still pretty close to 250. And I know 250 is a pretty easy number to add. So I'm going to go ahead and use 250. And then I have 195. Well, 195 is super close to 200, which is also a really easy number to add. So my estimate is 450. So I know that my answer is going to be close to, but not exactly, 450. All right, so now you might be asking yourself, what method are we going to use for this problem, Mrs. Tandy? And the method that we're going to be using for this problem is called column addition. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write that here so you can see that. Okay, column addition. And for column addition, okay, you're going to kind of think of each number in expanded form again, but we're going to write it just a little differently. For this one, I am actually going to write columns right here. Okay? And my columns are going to represent my ones, my tens, and take a guess, what do you think is going to go in the last column? If you said hundreds, you are correct. Now, if I had any other place values, if I had any bigger place values, then I would keep going. So my next one would be thousands. But in this problem, the greatest place value, and I'm going to underline it right here, is hundreds. So I can go ahead and stop there. So after I have wrote down all of my columns, I'm going to just copy my number down. So 236 is the same as 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 6 ones. Okay, so you should be able to look up here and see how 236 matches from right there. Okay, now I'm going to look at my second number, which is 195, and 195 is the same as 100, 9 tens, and 5 ones. Okay, so all I have done is written this problem in columns. It kind of helps line everything up. Okay, but I'm not done yet because now I need to add. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here with my plus sign. Okay, this is going to look a little different than what you're used to. Okay, because what I'm going to do first, I'm going to add my 1. So I have 6 plus 5. What is 6 plus 5? 11. So I am just going to write 11 right there. And you might be thinking, whoa, Mrs. Tandy, that does not make sense. Wait just a minute, and I'm going to show you how this method works. So now I'm going to go to my tens, and 3 plus 9 is 12. Okay, and I'm going to leave it there for just a minute. And then my next place value are my hundreds, and 2 plus 1 is 3. Am I done? Nope, because that does not make sense. So I'm going to go back to my one spot. Can I have 11 ones? Nope, I can't have 11 ones, but I can take 10 of those and move 10 of them to my tens column. And that would leave me with 1 1. Okay, and those 10 ones that I moved over here would be traded into 1 extra 10. So instead of 12 tens, I would have 13 tens. Okay, now am I done? Nope, not done yet, because you're probably thinking, wait, Mrs. Tandy, I can't have 13 tens there. Nope, but what can I do? I can trade 10 of those tens and turn 10 of them into 100. So I'm going to take 10 of those tens, and I'm going to go boop and move them over here into my hundreds column. So I've got 10 of those over here, which means I'm only going to have 3 left. And those 10 tens are going to turn into 100. So this 3 is going to change into a 4. Now, does this look right? Yes. My answer to 236 plus 195 is 431. So 431. And I'm going to take that number right here and I'm going to compare it to my estimate that I did right up here. And I'm going to look and I'm going to say, is that close? Yep, that's pretty close. I would say I'm probably right. I need to make sure I'm always asking myself, does my answer make sense? Okay, so after watching both of those methods of addition, you're probably either thinking, hey, I kind of liked that. So I either liked partial sums addition or I liked column addition. And you may want to learn more about that. And if you do, then great. So ask your teacher to help you with that method, and you can have some extra practice working on that method if you think that that will work for you. Okay, the last method that we're going to talk about, which is the most common method, is traditional addition. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that right up here on the top. Woo. My stylus doesn't want to work very well. I need to get a new one. Okay, and this is probably the type of addition that you are the most familiar with. And our sample problem that we're going to do today is 568 plus 345. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is, just like I did a few minutes ago, I'm going to draw some columns here. Okay, again, my greatest place value is my hundreds, so I really only need 3 columns. So I'm going to start here with my ones, and then next would be my tens, and then after that would be my hundreds. Okay, and then I'm going to rewrite this problem. So for 568, I have 5 hundreds, 6 tens, and 8 ones. And for 345, I have 3 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. Okay, and then I'm just going to complete my columns by putting my plus sign and my line. Okay, so you might be thinking right now, hey, this looks just like what you did a minute ago. If you're thinking that, you're right. But I'm going to show you how this is going to change just a little bit. Okay, so for column addition, which is what we did just a minute ago, you might remember we added our ones, so 8 plus 5, if you said 13, you are correct, is 13. Okay, and then we went, oh, wait a minute, we can't do that, but we can take 10 ones and move them over here, and then we only have 3 ones left. Okay, do you remember doing that? That looks a little familiar. We're going to do something very similar for traditional, so I'm just going to go ahead and backspace here just a little bit. Except for this time, when we add 8 plus 5, we're not going to write 13. We're going to go ahead and put those 3 ones down and then carry that 10 to our tens column. Okay, and make a little mark up there so I don't forget. Then when we get to our tens column, we're going to add 6 plus 4, which is 10. And then add 1 more, which is 11. And instead of writing 11, just like that, we are going to write the 1 10 down. And then we're going to carry those 10 tens over here and put that little 1 up there in my hundreds column. So I'm going to go ahead and trade those 10 tens. I'm going to turn them into 100. So then whenever I get to my hundreds column, okay, I can add 5 plus 1 is 6, and then 3 more is 9. Okay, so my answer to this would be 913. So that is how US traditional method works. So let's go ahead and try one more of those. Okay, so here's our next problem. We are going to solve 3,685 plus 4,729. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to estimate, okay, to see if I could find out close to what my answer is going to be. Okay, so on this one, I'm just going to use, we can do front end estimation, which we would take that 1,000 spot and leave it the same. So that would be a 3, and then change every other number to a 0. Okay, you might remember that type of estimation. That would be front end estimation. But what I'm noticing is, if I do it that way, is 3,685, is it closer to 3,000? Or is it closer to 4,000? It's actually closer to 4,000. And the same with 4,729, right here. Is it closer to 4,000? Or is it closer to 5,000? Well, it's actually closer to 5,000. So I'm going to just go ahead and erase all that because I think that that's probably not the best method to use for estimating. Instead, I'm going to round to the nearest 1,000. So 3,685. Okay, I'm going to round to the nearest 1,000, so I'm going to underline that place value, go next door, and that 6 tells me that I need to add 1. So I need to go up. So my 3 is going to change to a 4. And then everything else is going to change to zeros. Okay? And for 4,729, again, I'm going to round to the nearest 1,000. So go next door. That 7 tells me I need to go up. So I need to add 1 more. So I'm going to change 4 to 5. And change all the other digits to zeros. So I know that it is going, my answer is going to be close to 9,000. Okay, so back to what I did earlier in drawing our columns. Last time I just drew 3 columns because I had a ones place, a tens place, a hundreds place. Now I've added a thousands place. So how many columns do you think I'll need? If you said 4, you are correct. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those columns. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to start over here on my ones place, and I'm going to just start labeling them. So I've got my ones, I've got my tens, have my hundreds, and my thousands. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this problem. Okay, so I have 3,685 plus 4,729. Okay, and I'm using U.S. traditional addition. So starting with my ones place, 9 plus 5 is 14. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those 4 ones there. I'm going to go ahead and trade those 10 ones for a 10. My tens column, 8 plus 2 is 10, and one more would be 11. But I'm not going to write 11. I can put 1 10 down and trade those other ones over here for 100. My hundreds column, 7 plus 6 is 13, and one more would be 14. I can't write 14 down, so I'm going to put 4, and I'm going to take those 10 100s, and I'm going to carry them over here to my thousands place. And last, in my thousands, I have 4 plus 3, which is 7 plus 1 more is 8. And don't forget your comma. So my answer is 8,414. I'm going to compare that to my estimate of 9,000, and that is pretty close. So I'm probably correct. Okay, so how are you feeling after that? Are you feeling good, or do you want to see a couple more examples? I'm just going to give you 2 more examples before you start with your assignment. Okay, so our first one is going to be 56 plus 49 equals. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate. So 56 is pretty close to 60 if I'm rounding to the nearest 10. 49 is pretty close to 50. So my answer is going to be pretty close to 110 if I do it correctly. Okay, so I'm using traditional addition, and I know that I have 56. Oh, you know what? I'm going to color that just so we can see. 56 plus 49. Okay. Starting in my ones place, 9 plus 6, 15. Okay, but I can't write 15 there, so I'm going to put 5 down. I'm going to go ahead and trade those 10 ones for a 10. I'm going to put it up there. Now adding my tens column, I have 5 plus 4, which is 9, and one more would be 10. Okay, so now I would actually have I'm going to go ahead and recolor that, 100. Okay, so my answer is 105. Let's compare that up here to my estimate, and that's pretty close. So I bet I'm correct. And let's do one more together. So the last one we're going to do together is 774 plus 68. Okay, 774, that's pretty close to 800 if I'm rounding to the nearest hundreds, plus 68. That's pretty close to 70, and I can add 870 easily. Okay, so 800 plus 70 is 870. So I bet my answer is going to be pretty close to 870. So now I'm just going to rewrite my problem. Okay, so 774. Got 7 hundreds, 7 tens, and 4 ones, plus 68. Okay, and if it helps, if you're kind of looking at this and you're struggling, you can draw columns just like that down if that helps you see those a little better, so you can separate each place value. Okay, you can always do that. Okay, so let's start with my ones. So I have 8 plus 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Remember, I can't write 12, but I can take those 2 ones and leave them there and go ahead and trade those 10 ones for a 10. So in my tens column, 7 plus 6. 13 plus 1 is 14. So I'm going to leave those 4 tens, but I'm going to take those 10 tens and go over here and trade them for 100. And now I have 7 plus 100 is 8. Okay, so my answer is 842. I'm going to compare that to my estimate, and that's pretty close. Okay guys, if you have any questions after you get done watching this video, make sure you go back through, and you can always just rewatch part of the video if you need. So if you just want to rewatch the part that talks about column addition, you can do that. If you want to rewatch the part that talks about partial sums addition, you can do that. Or if you just want to watch me go through traditional addition again, you can do that as well. Okay, so go ahead and hit next and on Canvas, and you will see our instructions for this lesson. So your instructions for your math journal.